Hello and welcome to the panel discussion hosted by Planday and Monotree. I am Sofia and I work for the global marketing team of Planday, and together with me as a co-host I have Gregas from Monotree, that is one of our partner companies. And today we're going to discuss how to recruit and retain talent in the hospitality industry, which is obviously a very hot topic, has been for some time, but especially in the past few years. And we are seated today in the lovely restaurant from DiningSix, and here in the central of Copenhagen. And just a few practicalities before we go into the discussion. So we're going to be running around 30 minutes the discussion, and then at the very end of the discussion I'm going to present the winner of the Planday Customer Award. And now I'm going to give the word over to my co-host Gregas.
Yeah, and I just want to do a little round to present everyone. I can start with myself. My name is Gregas. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Monotree. And
I'm Gry Asnæs, a co-founder of Asnæs Vangstrup. This is a consultancy in the hospitality industry, and I'm focusing on human resource management, building leadership programs, and things like that.
And my name is Mathilde. I am head of people and culture at OLIOLI, a restaurant with 11 open stores in central Copenhagen.
And my name is Mads Jørgensen, and I'm the head of HR at DiningSix.
Yeah. My name is Stine Skonning, and I'm from DiningSix as well. I'm a chief communications officer. DiningSix is the operating company of more than 20 restaurants in Denmark and Norway. Soon, hopefully, in the UK as well. We employ 660 employees right now. Yeah. Just a short presentation.
I guess the hospitality industry has always been special. You have a lot of foreign workers, you have a lot of students also, you have people speaking different languages. So recruitment has always been special. But what I maybe want to get into is how has the lockdowns and how has the last year been in terms of recruitment? And maybe we could start with DiningSix.
Yeah, during lockdown we sent all our employees home with a full salary. So that created a foundation for us when we opened again. So our biggest concern when we opened again was actually if the Danes were ready to dine again, but they really were. So we were getting a lot of customers in. So we had the foundation, but we could also see that we were busy, so we needed to recruit a bit more. The difficult part during the opening again was that we still were under some kind of restrictions, mostly social restrictions. So our key word in DiningSix is to create relationships and to get together in groups, whether it's our customers, our employees, or our suppliers. Thank you. And we couldn't do that in the beginning. So the social part of bringing everyone together was not existing. So we had quite a hard time telling people, we know this is not optimal to work in this. It's more like a work right now. But we were very keen on telling, hopefully it's soon over, so we can get back to normal and be social and create the relationship we want to. But afterwards, of course, we needed more recruitment because we had so busy in our restaurants, and it was a bit hard, but we managed to get almost what we needed. Of course, some of our employees worked very hard and took some after shifts, which we are really happy about. But we managed to get through, but with everything right now, recruitment is an ongoing business where, it's ongoing matter. So we always need to recruit something.
So you actually kept a lot of the employees, so you could just kind of get them back into action.
We kept all our employees.
Okay.
So that was a good foundation for us,
Yeah.
and the right way. Of course, it has some financial aspects in it, but the value of keeping our close employees were key for us. So, and we could see that everyone was happy when returning back to work as well.
Yeah.
It were hard, and the social relationships were not happening, but
no.
we were telling it will soon be over. So we kept them telling that story. Yeah.
And did everyone return back to work, or even though you kind of wanted to keep them in the company, but did all of them return, or did they start looking for something new?
Of course, there's the neutral turnaround where people finish their studies also under COVID, so during. So of course there was, but also we managed. I think we managed to get pretty much all our employees back. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Mathilde? Do you agree with the things that Mas is saying, or did you have it completely different at OLIOLI?
Yeah, quite different at OLIOLI, because we were able to keep our stores open for most of the time, at least, because we are able to do takeaway as a primary source. So we kept all our employees on work, and they really wanted to come in and work because it was the only way to keep their social life. Yeah, so we were quite privileged in that way.
And also, Mathilde, I know that OLIOLI seems to be really good at getting applications and attracting young people. And what do you actually do, like, to keep it that way?
It's a good question. I think we are very privileged in that matter as well. I think that we've always prioritized social media marketing quite highly, because we know that all our future candidates are professional users on several platforms. So we know that we have to reach them there. And one of the new changes we are starting to do now is using TikTok very actively to attract candidates, and it's very successful. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is it mainly then young people? Because obviously TikTok is mostly
of course,
utilized by
is.
the
I
very
think
young population.
The average age is 21-ish.
And just out of interest, not sure if you know the exact numbers or anything, but how much marketing is spent on actually the product and how much is employer branding? Is it like a 50-50 almost, or?
More on employer branding, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit more, I think.
Okay.
But that's also because people, they want to see who we are, our personality, and then they come and visit our stores to eat the products we serve. But they also want to be like part of the culture, I think.
So, Mas and Stine, have you also experienced the same as Mathilde was telling here before with using social media for attracting talent, or is it different at DiningSix?
No, definitely. Our main focus, actually, the past 6 months has been to, we needed to realize we need to look other ways and take other means into use in order to be more visible and maybe attract future candidates. So recently we launched a large campaign, recruitment campaign, and we didn't have to do that a few years ago. But now it's these, we need to take different means into use. Also social media, TikTok, Instagram, and so on. Yeah.
And I also heard that you are looking towards going abroad and maybe London and UK. Is it something that you have kind of investigated how the scene is there in terms of recruitment? Are there any other kind of tactics that you are exploring when it comes to?
When it comes to London, we are very aware that we start as a new brand, and we start pretty much from scratch. We don't have a name there yet, but we believe that good people attract good people. And so what we do usually when we open up in a new market is that we gather a bunch of our key employees from Denmark and Norway, and then send them off to the new market to get themselves to establish there. They move in, and then hopefully they will find a way of living there, start up the business there, and hopefully they will meet some other great people who wants to be a part of our team. Yeah.
But it's important for us to have some people sent over so they can create and maintain the DNA from Norway and Denmark that we have. So it's not a bit different if you are in Denmark or in London for visiting one of our restaurants. Yeah.
Kind of maintaining the brand of DiningSix.
Yeah, and the culture as well.
Yeah.
And Gry, over to you in terms of recruitment.
Yes, I can confirm that showing the culture is very important, and much more important than before the pandemic. So, and it must be in a trustworthy way. So if the TikTok is really representing the culture and the people, or as you will do in London, it works. The culture is an important thing, and And the leadership as well. If you can show the leadership, how are we doing here? Are we respectful? Are we listening to our employees? Are we flexible? Then it's very, very important, yes.
Okay, so I just want to zoom out a little bit, because now we've been talking about recruitment specifically, but it seems also that there's been a lot of talk about showing who we are and all these things, so more into the like company culture part of things as well. So how do you actually make sure that the people you hire are then actually happy and engaged, so the stories you tell on TikTok are actually good and keep that culture? So is there any thoughts around that? And maybe you could start out.
Yeah, you have as a professional company, you have to work with your culture the whole time. You can never stop focusing on your culture because it changes with the people in it. So we see it's very important to educate people in the culture. How do we talk? How do we listen? How do we act? So have focus on culture the whole time in your education programs, in everything you communicate. That's our experience. I don't know if it's what you're thinking as well.
I think the same. As 80% of our employees are students, so we have to find a good level of education, but not overdo it, because they are not mainly here for learning or making money. They are also here to create a social environment. So for us, it's to be online with what's important and what's not important.
But we see the young people are curious about themselves, are curious about their way of acting. How does it have an impact on my colleague, on my guest? So when I talk about educating people, I talk about who are you? What's your strength?
Yeah.
How can you use them in your communication? And I think they love that. So those soft skills.
I think, good points. I'm not sure we are doing a lot of things towards that, but we are focusing more on the people. So that's we've changed a bit of our mindset throughout the years we know we cannot embrace everybody, so we're focusing on also educate our managers even better, because we have our administration, but all our managers need to take the culture towards their employees.
Leadership before, for 3 years ago or something like that, I think about 3% of your working day was about leadership. I think it's about 30% now. It's so important with leadership.
So we have taken matters to create 4 annual leader meetings where we gather all leaders from Norway and Jylland and Copenhagen, and take in some nice exciting speakers from outside the industry, also sometimes inside, to give some inspiration to our managers and leaders in every kind of matters. We have last time we had a guy telling about the feedback culture in
so important
in the industry and in general in company, and he gives so much so good points in how to use feedback, and we also in the administration and other leaders need to focus more on that, because feedback is the key part of education, knowing where you are, know yourself, so
doing it well,
getting better,
getting better. It's a must-have on all levels.
That's such a great idea to have these kind of speakers to come in and give some inspiration.
Yeah, because you can talk a lot about how to do it in the restaurant and practical, but to get inspiration from outside, where we also have some about Sodo work, so how to work, but work with so it has a value. So give those kind of inspiration speaks where you say, makes sense. Yeah, that we could see that it's created a lot of talking between the managers.
Yeah, and exactly also to make them create a relationship to each other, cross our different brands, cross our different countries.
And kind of when we're on the subject of external speakers, are you also kind of taking inspiration internal, like when you are trying to recruit mostly young people and mostly people that are maybe students, they maybe have a different view and different expectations for what they want from a workplace. How can you make sure that you kind of get that insight from them to become better at recruiting? Kind of like, what do they expect from a job? Like, is that part of the feedback culture, or is it?
It should be.
Yeah.
But we also in our semi-annual satisfaction surveys get a lot of inputs on how we could do things better and how the culture are right now. We have put in a lot of subjects regarding the culture and how people feel when they are at work. So throughout that we gain a lot of information and can react on those informations.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, or it benefits if you have like an open culture where people dare to comment on their onboarding. For example, if you have an open dialogue and they feel comfortable telling you, hey, this is not working, or I would like this to be better, or my job interview could be better in this way, then we can benefit from it.
Yeah.
It's also like there is no shortcuts to company culture. It's not like you can buy software and create. Like you have to really, like the
Invest
leaders
in it.
have to actually live it and be it.
And keep on focusing.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard times, even though you are very busy. No shortcuts.
Yeah, and also remember that it's not a given that for us who've been in the company for several years, it's a given. This is the way we do things. But the new people,
how should they know?
They don't know. So of course we need to always.
And it gets more difficult when you're expanding, as we do. So when you go from 400 employees to 700 employees, it's a different, and you can't reach them all. So you need to have someone do the work who can reach them.
More ambassadors.
Yeah, more ambassadors throughout the culture.
And Kru, you are working a lot with companies like DiningSix and OLIOLI. So what is your experience of the, let's say there's probably different reasons why they seek help with you and consultancy, but are there like three main things that you feel like, okay, these are the main topics?
If we ignore economics and the guest experience, and only, they want help for their leadership programs, for building internal academies, onboarding, or certain form for skills, and helping building culture. Because you know exactly what the culture is, but how to explain it and how to train it. Sometimes it can be a good way to have people from outside asking the right questions. So I think it's mainly those kind of things.
Have you had that experience lately? Because I feel like it's sort of like that we're even speaking a lot about culture in hospitality. We wouldn't have done this 3 years ago. It seems like it's all of a sudden.
It's so important.
The light switch is on now.
Yes, because all the people we want to work in our industry, they can be lawyers, they can be doctors, they can be everything, and we want to attract them to us, all the brainy people. So we have to be a workplace that is just like the law office or another place, and that's new. Before we were the funny parts where we could have some parties. It's not like that now, because the law office is just as funny because they have a lot of events as well. So we have lost that kind of thing. Isn't that right?
All the side benefits that you need to
everybody has that
emphasize.
now. So now we have to be a serious workplace where I can improve myself.
You as a person can develop yourself, or
create a career,
a new career path, or kickstart your career,
and have my network as well. That's what I see.
So I thought.
Oh, okay. No, I was. No, but I think that maybe on that subject again, like these were kind of the main themes that you usually get asked for. Is there one company in mind that you feel like they have really turned 180? You don't need to mention names. I'm just
there's
thinking
a lot
like
of companies
example
doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of companies had worked with that for many years. But I can see the success coming from keeping on focus, having focus on the managers. Don't accept a bad culture, even though it's a very good chef. Doesn't matter if you can't live the culture we have here. You have to go. So they are so determined to have the right culture, the right skills for their leader managers, and give people what they want and to improve themselves. So that makes the success, I think. And no shortcuts at all. No quick fixes. No videos that tell you 3 steps to do. It's hard work. Because I think sometimes it's difficult when you're busy, even though you're so aware. So you can have like this, that kind of tone, and it's not acceptable. So everybody is going to be very aware of their communication. People want to make positive relationships at work, so you have to do things like that. I know you have some. Now you take for a trip all together. It's making positive relationship as well.
Yeah, we do a lot of cultural events for our employees because we know that it's one of the things that they enjoy the most. It can be both. We like to include some kind of sports actually because we know how much a great impact it has both physically and mentally. So we're doing boxing events, yoga classes, paddle tennis tournaments, or it can be a coffee showdown where every store compete against each other. All these kinds of things just creates a sense of belongingness, and people want to be a part of the family, and that also makes it harder for them to leave because they don't want to leave their family behind. So it's kind of a way to...
But I have to say, it's not only young people who have these needs.
No.
It's elderly as well. It's everybody. So even though if you're recruiting more mature people, it will work as well.
Yeah. No, it's very, very important about the whole like brand building and the like impact of that, like because you're in a highly competitive industry as everyone is pretty much. So kind of how do you stand out, and why would someone pick your brand over someone else's?
Yeah.
Do you experience the same in DiningSix, that you are doing these kind of like events, or how are you ensuring that you maintain a healthy culture?
Yeah, it is a very important thing of our DNA, and it has always been that way. So that was why COVID-19 was so hard, because all of a sudden we couldn't offer all these things, all the side benefits. But now we are getting back on track, and we do both some gatherings for each individual restaurant, but also cross-brand, so people get to know each other, so that they don't feel they are part of only Kød, the restaurant, but also a part of the whole DiningSix team.
Yeah, so it's important for us to create that gatherness around DiningSix as well. With our annually DiningSix award show we have, but also our summer parties. But of course, it's not always gonna end up with a party. We want to create spaces where it's not always the party. Yeah.
There's a old saying that culture eat strategy for breakfast, and I think it's even more relevant now, because you can have a perfect strategy for everything, for your product, for your guest experience, but if the culture is rotten or not authentic, it doesn't work.
No, those two things have to be aligned.
Yeah. And you have to be trustworthy. That's what you say as well. If you say something and you do another thing, they will know immediately. So nobody wants to come to you. So.
But regarding culture and recruitment as well, our biggest ambassador is our employees. So the easiest way to get new employees is for them to recruit, because they know the DNA and what the culture are, and they can tell that story even better than a social media channel or anything else. So the mouth-to-mouth communication regarding recruitment is key.
Everything.
And I see a new important thing is the nice goodbye. When somebody stops. Before it was new one. Yeah. Now it's hey, and we're going to celebrate that you've been here. So because maybe people come back. We often see people come back if the goodbye is good, even though that we are not agreed in here, but we can find out together.
Have you experienced a lot of people coming back, like re-recruiting old talents to any of your restaurants or cafes, or is it mostly that it's always new ones, that it's always new students and you?
We mainly want to recruit inside the company. So especially our managers, we often look around in our restaurants if someone has the skills or ability or even the desire to take up a job like that. So that's our first target. And mostly our managers right now have been waiter or kitchen staff taking up the manager position. And often when people leave us, we sometimes have the ability to put them, when they have been away for 2-3 years, back in the administration, because suddenly they've been out working in a company where, this fits for us, and they know the culture and they know the people, because some of us have been here a long time, so that creates the way in often. So a bit,
We do exactly the same. Recruit internally. Yeah.
Makes sense. But I was actually gonna get into other things you could do in terms of creating company culture, but I think we already talked about your events, Mathilde, that you can do, and also the training and inclusiveness and all these things. But is there any extra things that you can do? Maybe I'm thinking about, like, is some of the more old school things as working hours and these things, like, because that was one of the things that traditionally hospitality was, it's a hard job, you work long. And is that also more in focus now, that actually giving people more spread out days and all these things?
I think so.
You have to be very flexible.
We have to be extremely flexible with
and
working
that's okay.
hours.
And be careful that people don't work too much. So they can have a life besides working. So yes, I think it's a focus area as well.
I believe the old way of thinking was that the manager would schedule the next month, but now it's employees. They say, I can this day, not this day, this day. So it's on the employees.
We're talking about your dreaming schedule. What would you dream about? And then we find out. We hope we could manage.
We've also introduced some kind of economic flexibility, where our employees are able to withdraw some of their salary before the monthly payroll. So that also creates some kind of flexibility for them, and they enjoy it very much.
I guess it's a lot about the feeling that you're in power and you are empowered, and both can kind of affect your schedule, but then also like when you're paid and all this kind of stuff that makes you stay. But do you have anything else that you have heard from your previous employees or current employees, why they decide to stay in DiningSix or in OLIOLI? And maybe you can also then add on, Gry, like what you know about your customers.
For us, it's been a focus recently to show that there is many possibilities in this industry. It's not only the staff that you meet when you go to a restaurant. You will find a waiter, the manager, the chef, but there's a tons of people and job functions in this industry. We have a very big administration, and so we have people, IT, marketing, customer service. So there's a very variety of functions and career paths. And I think it's a very important story to tell, shed light that almost no matter what you are studying, there's a room for you in this industry.
And so do you think there is a reason why, because I think the obvious reason why people switch jobs a lot in hospitality is that it used to be, traditionally it was students you hired, and maybe that's also a cultural thing in the Nordics, because me and Mads were talking earlier that when you go to the south, you have older people working at restaurant, and it's more like a traditional career path as well.
It's a real job.
But it's kind of like it sometimes feels that way. But it's also really important to keep your staff in for as long as possible because they know the brand, they know everything. So do you think that is still the same in the Nordics, or do you think things like providing a career path can actually make people stay longer?
I think it can make people stay longer, but I think there still is some kind of discourse in our society about the right thing to do after you graduate high school or have a gap year or two is to apply at a university and go there and study and not work at a restaurant for a living or for a profession. And I think that's why we.
But it's funny because especially in Denmark, I don't know in the other countries, you can have a master when you are working at the restaurant, so that you have the study besides your job and not the job besides your studies. So, and we have a lot that have talent programs going for a master as well. So even though that you have all your time at the restaurants, you get a master.
But it's not common knowledge for the young people. That's too bad.
We have to tell them that.
Yeah, we do.
Talent programs are very successful.
Do you have any ideas on how maybe we could change the stigma around the hospitality industry so that it's, as you said, like people see it more as a like stop-by job, maybe on their way to university, which they think that they should do, and they should work with something else in the long term, because you both have worked for a long time in DiningSix, and like how to communicate it better, that there's like you have an opportunity to stay here for a much longer time. It doesn't mean that you're only gonna be a cook or as like someone doing the tables.
So we did, as we said before, we just launched this large recruitment campaign, and where the tagline is that we open doors for you, start off your career in the restaurant industry. And it's a lot of, we are portraying a lot of former colleagues, but also present colleagues, and their way through the industry, the way through our company and what it has given them, both personally, but also network is a, everyone tells, is saying this great network they have gained from it, but also, career-wise. So that has been our take on it, to tell my story, Mads' story, but also former colleagues. What have they, what have they turned their time in the industry into?
What have they gained while working in the industry? Because they've taken a lot of things from the industry.
You can use it
everywhere.
I can personally add to that I learned more about running a business by running a restaurant than I did in the business school, and that's honest. That's honest. That's actually true.
That's right.
Exactly.
But there is a saying also in hospitality industry that customers don't complain, they don't come back. Is that true for employees? Do you feel like they sometimes don't say what's wrong, and then you can just see that people are just leaving fast? Or do you think there is? You talked a little about open culture, but do you feel like there is room for that? And
we are saying a lot that come to us. There's open doors everywhere you go. If it's your manager, if it's HR, anyone, please speak open with everything. So that's what we're telling people. So please do, because we can't be aware of what's happening if we don't get the knowledge and don't get how you're feeling right now. And throughout that, we also created spaces where you can more secretly or anonymously go and tell about your story if there's something really wrong. So we have some different channels where people can open up for internal, but also external throughout whistleblower. So, and that's been a focus the last few years also in the industry, to create those kinds of rooms where people can come and tell about the story, and
always a place to go or someone to go to.
Exactly.
And you can have a culture where you can pass your own manager and go. If it's okay, then there's a lot of opportunity to.
And I guess also here there is like no quick fixes, because if you can listen a lot, but if then you don't change, people will stop telling you also. So I guess this is also the hard work you're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately.
You have to change to that.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think it varies a lot.
Yeah.
There will always be some people who just quit and leave and don't say anything. But
If they say, "Oh, it wasn't me. I couldn't see me working at this place," and we don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But it might be that. It might be too hard.
yeah. But my experience is that if they've been with us for a year or something like that, they always come to us with their complaints or wishes or dreams, and then we have to try to see if we can make a compromise and maybe accept that we cannot make up something ideal for any party, but we can make a compromise that it's acceptable for both.
Yes, and we know that people leaving their managers, not the job.
Yeah.
So that's what I see. So if we had people leaving a manager, I know you were aware of that. What's wrong here? What are we going to do? But it's not. It's often the manager they're leaving.
Yeah, so maybe kind of like having that discussion with the manager then and
Exactly.
Yeah, because they have
Figuring out
excuses. Oh, we didn't. Blah blah blah. No excuses. Why are they leaving you? Yeah.
This is a difficult question at the end, but maybe just to kind of wrap things up a bit, what do you feel that would be kind of the recipe for success within this industry? This is a very broad question, but you can basically, there's no wrong answers. There's just like, why do you think that DiningSix has been so successful, or OLIOLI?
For us, our main focus is to do things the right way. So, and what is the right way? But to treat people with respect and the way they should be. So that is the key task, create the relationship where we want to talk to each other, be together. So there has been a lot of not so good stories in the industry. So for us it's to do something about that, but also starting to telling the good stories.
So important.
So we start telling the good stories from former employees by saying what they gained from being here. So all that we need to start telling, because we need to change focus from a bit negative to positive. But that also means that everybody in the industry needs to act and react on everything, especially around culture.
Yeah. For us, I think it's the first thing that comes to mind is a strong brand. People should know who we are, what we stand for, what we produce. That's just so important, I think.
I agree, and the manager team. The manager team has so big impact if you could be a success or not, because they are the level between you and the strategy and the everyday. So leadership, talk to people, give feedback that makes you feel good. Be flexible.
And also be present. Now we are in administration, but be present in the restaurants, because that's where the magic happens. So go visit, go be a waiter for one day yourself, or maybe you'll burn down the kitchen, but it's very important that you show your face and show up and say hi to your colleagues, no matter where in the group they are.
Well, that's maybe a good roundup, because I know, Mathilde, you're going to Bornholm to to do a food stand with the rest of the leadership team. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To all of you, to Gregas, and
Sophia.
as a last thing, as promised, I was going to announce the winner of the Planday Customer Award. So we are giving this in different regions that we work with, but this is specifically for the Nordic regions. So we have gotten some amazing nominations of clients that we are working with today, and the winner for the Nordic region is Wolf & Constali, so big congrats to them. And they are gonna get a personal gift delivered to them during, I think, this month or the next month. So if you're watching, you will get the gift, but if not, you are gonna be contacted anyway. So super much thank you from us, and lovely day to everyone who is watching.